This weekend was not just a big win for Oklahoma on the football field, taking down a top opponent and a very much uh, feared opponent at an opponent. I mean, again, I don't think even after this game, I don't think anyone can look at Michigan and just say that they're not good. I think Michigan will be just fine. Now, is maybe 9 wins in the mix for Michigan? That's possible. I think 9 wins is like their low mark. I think they looked like a pretty good team. It's just that they got outmanned by a very physical defense, mainly that defense. Michigan's defense maybe has some work to do, and I think there's definitely some that we could probably pick apart for their defense and say that they could do better. But overall, this Michigan team is a good team, and I think Oklahoma fans will obviously keep on cheering for them. I think we're going to look back at this game later on in the season and say, man, that was a really good win. We're feeling that way already, but you've got to have some skepticism. I think the way that Oklahoma won it, you feel really good, and I think you're valid for feeling so good about Oklahoma going forward because of the way that they won it, because they won by double digits. They won by 11 points. That's huge. Grown men cover the spread. They go out there and they don't just win the game. They win by covering that spread, and they did that and then some. They actually exactly doubled that spread. So this was a really good performance for Oklahoma. But anyways, not just on the field, but it was also a really big game for Oklahoma in recruiting. When you look at all the recruits, I don't even know what the final number was, but I know when you were there at the game and you saw them all lined up down there on the field, they took up the entire south end zone. I mean, there were so many recruits, and there was a lot of really big recruits. There's a reason why there were so many recruits there for that game, because this team felt, this coaching staff, the team, they felt like this is a game that they can go in there and make a huge statement for Oklahoma, for the Sooners. Make a statement saying, if you come here, you have the opportunity to develop into this and play in this atmosphere and to go on to be an NFL type talent. That's what they showcased on the field. And of course, that was exactly the case for one recruit. You had Damari DeZoom, and I'm not sure if I'm saying the last name right. Again, I'm going to have to ask Parker Thune on how I'm supposed to pronounce that name, but Damari DeZoom, he committed to Oklahoma today. Big time recruit for Oklahoma, big time commitment. A wide receiver, 4-star wide receiver, number 79 overall prospect in the 2027 class. So they're building onto that 2027 class already. And of course, there was a lot of flips that feel like Oklahoma is sitting really good with. And we'll get to some of those as well as we get closer to them. But picking up Damari, I mean, this was a big pickup for Oklahoma, getting this commitment. He's out of Pacific Palisades, California. He mentioned to rivals that he said committing this early really wasn't part of his plan. He didn't really want to commit this early in his commitment and his recruiting stage, but it just felt right for him. And you love to hear that. You love to hear that for Oklahoma, that they made him feel so confident after that win that he was like, you know what, screw this. I'm not waiting any longer. We're committing. We're committing today. Let's make that announcement. Let's go. Let's do it. We're going to the University of Oklahoma, and that's huge. So picking up a big wide receiver, and again, I think this was a game that you can showcase that the wide receivers are looking pretty good. I think you can see what Keontae Lewis has to offer. I think you can see what Satania has to offer. You can even look at what the tight end, Jaron Kanik, has to offer. You can showcase so much about this Oklahoma team to say, hey, there is a ton of good stuff to offer here to a young wide receiver, and it obviously was enough to make him make the decision today. And so big time get for Oklahoma, building onto that 2027 class already. Love to see it. But it didn't just stop there. Oklahoma also gets 4-star, doesn't get, but there's a lot of hope and there's a lot of expectations now for Oklahoma that now Oklahoma is projected to land quarterback Peyton Houston. And I believe, I didn't write down that date, but I believe that's next Monday, next Tuesday, somewhere in that range. And so be on the lookout for his commitment when it comes next week. The fact that he was willing to move that commitment date up a little bit shows that, hey, Oklahoma's got a really good chance for this this 4-star quarterback, and he announced moving that date up before the game. But again, because of how this game went, you feel really good about Oklahoma landing Peyton Houston. And of course, he was in attendance there against Michigan. And now, something that I heard, and this is not something that I'm going to report and pretend like I know the inside scoop on this, but something that I heard is that if Oklahoma were to land 4-star quarterback Peyton Houston, that maybe there's a 2026 recruit that Oklahoma could flip along with his commitment. And it's a big wide receiver that Oklahoma really wanted out of his recruiting cycle. But I won't say any names because, again, I'm not going to pretend like I know anything behind the scenes here. I just know that this is something that I heard that people are feeling like they've got a very good suspicion that could be the case, that he brings a big wide receiver with him as well. So Peyton Houston, I believe, Peyton Houston's a 2027 quarterback. So Oklahoma's got their 2026 quarterback in Bo Bentley. They've got a 2027 in Peyton Houston, adding on to that. But then also the wide receiver that I'm thinking is a 2026 wide receiver that Oklahoma's hoping to be able to flip with the commitment of Peyton Houston. So I don't know. Again, this is all just speculation. It's also just kind of rumors that I'm hearing. So I'm not going to sit here and act like I know something that I don't. But I'm really hopeful for it. I think this is a really good sign. You go out there, you win big games, you end up winning big commits. And guess what? There's some flips that are about to happen. If Oklahoma keeps this up, you can bet that it's going to happen. But you already are starting to hear some rumors and some hype that there's more flips that could happen. I know that Cooper Hackett mentioned how much he enjoyed his time at the game and how much he enjoyed the atmosphere. Now, I'm not sure that Oklahoma flips his commitment from Texas Tech, but I mean, they're pushing really hard for it. And as hard as they're pushing for it, they've got a case to be made here. And especially with how you look at how really everyone performed, but you look at how that offensive line performed against a very good Michigan defensive line and really front seven. This is how you flip commitments. Oklahoma's also trending for some commitments in 2027, 4-star cornerbacks, so DBs in Montre Jackson out of Garland, Texas, and then also Mikhail McCreary. So you've got a couple of dudes there also that Oklahoma is really hoping to be able to pull commitments from. And so this was a big-time game, big-time win. Again, not just a big-time win on the field, but also a big-time win for Oklahoma off the field when you look at the future and you look at what they were able to do in the recruiting cycle. But that's pretty much all I've got on the recruiting trail. We will keep our eyes and my ear to the ground as we learn more about some recruiting stories that are going around right now that I hope break. And there's a lot of rumors. Again, there's a lot of rumors with flips. There's a lot of rumors with other commits that Oklahoma was pressing at one point and kind of fell away from the graces of that commit, of that recruit, but then now have surged back up to the top with this big win. And of course, with over 50 recruits in the house against Michigan and that big of an atmosphere, that loud of an atmosphere, all those recruits saw that. They took notice. There's even recruits that weren't there that I'm sure took notice. And of course, you've got some that are already committed that are also trying to push and get some commitments. You got guys like Brian Harris, the Jandro brothers, which I was able to stop and welcome them in. I was walking by, I looked over and was like, oh, hey, welcome in, guys. Really glad to see you guys here. And you know, I got to talking with them, told them, hey, have fun, guys. I hope you have a blast. And they're like, oh, I'm sure we will. But yeah, I mean, and I'm sure they were excited to be here, you know, for such a big time, a big time game too, big time show out for Oklahoma. But the commitments are going to keep on flowing in. I promise you that. And you know, even though that flip, I really think that there's going to be some flips that you're going to see. But